What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala. Well, your thrice weekly podcast talking about current affairs, the hottest news, with a touch of what, Terrence?
Touch of humor, man.
Touch of humor. And
Yeah.
we are recording this late on a Sunday night because we want to keep by the 3 episodes a week.
Yeah.
So this will come out. Yeah, it will come out on later tonight. So Sunday, so we will hit the 3 episode a week promise that we always make.
Because we've had quite a busy week, and we had, like last week we had Sudhir, and this week we had Fakafaz, and so a lot of guests coming and going.
Yeah, and I mean, we're going to try to keep getting guests in. Maybe, I mean, at most, like, on average, 1 guest a week. So, I mean, we're actively reaching out to people who are interesting, people we want to talk to. So, if you've got any recommendations, hit us up on Instagram or on our awesome Reddit as well.
Yeah. And was that the plug? Was that the plug?
I was halfway through, I was thinking, shit, is that the plug?
I guess
so.
so,
Maybe if you quickly round up with another half plug, then we'll make it a full plug.
Yeah, there are a lot of people, contrary to what you guys might think, there's still a lot of people who actually don't listen to podcasts actively. And to them, it's like, I don't get podcasts, you know. I literally met someone on Friday evening like that, someone who's very connected in the tech world and everything. But he's like, I don't listen to podcasts. I don't understand what's the appeal of podcast, you know. So there are people like that. So, you can help to educate them, but also by introducing them to, that doesn't have to be our podcast, but just a good podcast. It'd be fantastic if it's our podcast as well. But my guess is, as long as more and more people get into the ecosystem, eventually there'll be more listeners of Yalabat as well.
Yeah, and I guess if you're listening to this in public, you can just look around you and judge everyone who does not have an earpiece in their ear. Yeah, just judge away, man. Judge away. But yeah, I guess tonight we got a late night vibe. I don't know. I feel a little more late nighty. Do you feel any different from an afternoon podcast?
No. You know what I feel? I feel like this is a good episode to kind of round off our discussions the last couple of weeks have been.
Oh yeah, actually,
right? Right. So it's very fitting.
That is true.
It's very fitting as is the end of the week, like Sunday night kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, Sunday night decompress. Because what is the topic that makes you feel that way, Terrence?
It's Lawrence Wong's speech on racism at latest IPS forum, and the responses to it and everything Pritam's response, a lot of different responses to it. But can you give a bit more context about what happened? About what was the thing about?
It was a forum on race and racism organized by the Institute of Policy Studies and the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies on Friday, June 25th. And I actually first caught wind of this by a friend who sent me a link to register for the event because it was open to anyone. And
I think it's the same one. Is it the same institution that did the whole? They interviewed the AWARE chairperson. Who said that, I think so. Maybe women should also have to do national service, right?
Yeah, exactly. Correct. So they do some good shit. So kudos to them for at least organizing conversations that are interesting and thought-provoking.
Yeah.
But I will say when my friend sent me the Zoom link, I was like, okay, my first thought is that this is going to be just one of those talks where they're going to say some shit that is obvious, is inconsequential, and is not going to matter, and it's just going to be just going through the formality. But I also did feel curious about what they were going to say, because I think more than ever before, the racial tensions are at an all-time high. So I was curious at what was going to come out. But did you know of the event before it happened?
No, I mean, I get the emails from IPS as well. And on all transparency, we've also worked with them on certain things before, but it's not that we're especially privy to any of these but I didn't get any special people forwarding this to me. I just saw it it just popped up on my YouTube feed, and I was like, oh shit.
You mean you're not?
Yeah.
You're not like the de facto racial consultant amongst your friends.
I mean the majority race. There's a lot of
but among your majority friends, among your majority friends, you're like the frontliner on racism, no? Given how much we've spoken about it over the past few weeks. You mean your friends are not aware, is it? Is it because they don't listen to our podcast?
No, I think it's because of their Chinese privilege that they don't need to listen.
Oh, now you're turning, you're turning on your own race. Way to go, man.
Yeah. No, I just don't think Singaporeans in general are super excited about politics. Like politics isn't the number one thing on the agenda. I think this week there were a lot of things that caught people's attention, like BTS, McDonald's, things like that lah.
I thought it was a week before, yeah. You're saying you don't think a lot of Singaporeans are interested about politics?
As in, it's not something that they will actively, make a point to tune in and listen to a speech by Lawrence Wong lah. We're talking about if you go on YouTube, you want to watch Lawrence Wong, the minister, or Lawrence Wong, the actor. There's a difference there. Same name, but different context, right? So it's only because I subscribe to certain channels like gov.sg and all. That's why I got wind of this speech.
I see. Yeah. So for full context, like how much of the speech do you consume, or how do you go about understanding the speech?
I tried to read the transcript. Got a little bored along the way. Then after that, there was a very good summary of all the stuff that he said about racism. I think it's on either on Mothership or gov.sg's YouTube channel. But I sat through the whole Q&A he had after that, the whole half an hour of Q&A that he did after the speech.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Because I read the transcript, but I didn't go through the full Q&A. So at least we got the overall basis covered.
Yeah. Correct.
So and then of course there was some chatter online. I didn't see too much, to be honest. But Pritam Singh, the leader of the opposition, did also respond. But maybe like what were your first-hand thoughts after you read through the meat of Lawrence Wong's speech?
I think, ladies and gentlemen, we might have here the next Prime Minister of Singapore.
Alamak. I mean, you got your stamp of approval already.
No, it's not a stamp of approval. It's the fact that in this past 2 or 3 very heated weeks, right, he has been selected to be the first minister to come forward and answer these questions about race. I mean, his portfolio is essentially Minister of Finance right now, right?
Yeah.
But to answer questions about racism, which is foremost on everyone's mind and is a very sensitive and difficult topic to discuss, they have put Lawrence Wong forward. And I think it's if you ask the layperson, any layperson who saw the speech, I think he made a lot of important points. Even Pritam Singh concedes that, right? Good and important points, and very unexpected points, so to speak, in the sense that even acknowledging the real problem, the real lived reality of racism for minorities in Singapore, acknowledging that the policies aren't perfect, and that that they are in constant dialogue to try and make them better. To me, this is as clear a signal as any that he's being pushed to the forefront of how are people going to take to this and consider him as the next Prime Minister Yeah. Did you have that same sentiment?
Yeah, because I mean, I did find it weird also, we don't have a minister of race, right? And for him to speak, I think it's I can't imagine anyone else doing it. But I'm just wondering, how is it internally for Lawrence Wong and Chan Chun Sing, and who's the other person in the running? Or is it mainly Lawrence Wong and Chan Chun Sing? Ong Ye Kung. I wonder how they feel. You think they had a say in deciding who's going to go and do it or not? Or maybe PM Lee was they were all waiting for a WhatsApp from PM Lee, and then fucking Lawrence Wong got it.
That's a good question, because you think about it, we are in the midst of still fighting COVID, and Lawrence Wong is already the head of the multi-ministry task force, alongside the Minister of Health, Ong Ye Kung. Then now he has to go and tackle this touchy topic of racism also.
The fucking race.
You're like, wow, how many different hats is he wearing at the same time? And then Minister of Finance now.
Yeah, he's like the Michael Jordan of PAPs. Yo, guys, give him a break, man.
Yeah, or he's being pushed as such, lah. So, I think these things they don't just happen. They are very meticulously planned. Their
Yeah.
schedules, politicians' schedules are so packed and everything. So for them to have to make the time, it must be some directive from the party or from the leadership that this is the person to talk about this touchy topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean that's where I also was surprised, because at first I thought it would be a lot less meaty or a lot less how you say objective about it. I thought they were going to say the same stuff, like an extension of Shanmugam's post about how I've always thought Singapore was moving towards racism, racial inequality, and I'm surprised. But yeah, some of the things he said, I thought it was a very well worded speech, in the sense that I thought, I'm sure some people will say, but it's not enough. What are the actions? What's the next steps? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
But I think we have to also be realistic that there's only so much a politician can say. And I think within that constraints, right, he said a lot of stuff that I'm also quite surprised by. I was surprised by it.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
So I mean, and what you watched was the speech, right? Or you read the speech, right?
I read the speech.
That's why I made it a point to watch the Q&A session afterwards. And
to look into his eyes.
No, to really see how does he react when he doesn't have his speech, the prepared
script,
speech sitting in front of him. And I mean, my God, he did much better than I expected him to, lah. In a sense, like they asked very pointed questions about CMIO model, the ethnic integration policy in
Program.
HDB, everything. Yeah, so they just asked very pointedly about this question. They asked him about microaggressions. They asked him about woke culture. Being do you want to see more of this kind of like people speaking out or what? And I felt, I mean, his answers were fairly balanced. They weren't like condescending or trying to shut down any particular group in any particular way. And he even brought up certain things that I didn't think about that as a good answer to some of these questions as well.
Like what? Do you remember anything of the top of your head?
One thing, I mean, I think from the speech he said outright that don't as much as we talk about Chinese privilege in Singapore, let's not forget that the Chinese people are not a monolithic community either, lah. And there's been a lot of things that have the community has been chopped up and also like split up and divided for the so-called tenets of progress, lah. And these are things that maybe to you and me even it doesn't it's not really a big deal, because we grew up and we just went to school and we learned I learned my mother tongue, and we just learned our mother tongue, and that's as much as we know, right? But for older generation of Singaporeans, including my parents' generation and all that, it was a very big deal that dialect was taken from them. They were deprived of dialect entertainment. Dialect was actively discouraged. There was a very strong anti-communist kind of sentiment that was being pushed within the Chinese community, because they were very afraid of communism infiltrating Singapore. So a lot of the cultures and traditions that came from China have also been lost over the years, and so that particular group of Singaporeans, Chinese Singaporeans, who feel that they cannot keep up with society, right? They cannot keep up with English-speaking multicultural Singapore. They have also made a lot of sacrifices, and for them, if you go to them and say you have Chinese privilege, they're like, well, what the hell is Chinese privilege? So that that just rang really true with me, because I'm from I can't really speak dialect, and that was a that was an immediate chasm between me and my grandmother. Like my grandmother didn't speak English, I couldn't speak dialect, so we could hardly communicate, lah. And then I forget that these are examples of how certain sacrifices that have been made by communities to also just accept that we have to try and be a multicultural society, lah. So that was something that he brought up that I was like, oh shit, yeah, man, I never thought about it that way, but yeah.
So he's either like a sponge that can absorb all this, or maybe he really is internally within the PAP, one of those more of the, how you say, the best person to talk about this lah. Because like what you say, Q&A to answer stuff that's pointed questions and all that, like yeah, it's no easy task lah, right?
And it's not, the difficulty is to not come across as a fucking asshole especially when you're in a position of authority, right? It's so easy to come across as an asshole, but the way he answered a lot of the questions, he would caveat, he would say, like for example, they asked him outright about why is it you all say that Singapore is not ready for Chinese PM, and he gave what I thought was a very is a very balanced answer, that they come from a perspective where they are reading data and they are finding the best strategy to win an election and to win the hearts and minds of people, and they cannot ignore the data. Do they wish that the data said something different? Yes, they wish that the data said something different. Yes, he wishes that one day Singapore will have a minority PM, but they have to do what is in their best interest as a party to win the election, So I mean, take that with a grain of salt or whatever you will. But to me, at least, it's a balanced answer that acknowledges people's anger about how the issue was answered before. Singaporeans are not ready for a non-Chinese PM. I mean, just adding a few words and caveats, it just felt so much more okay. I understand his perspective, and at least he acknowledges that it's a problem.
Yeah, but so on the flip side, like when I was reading it, there were certain things that I'm like, okay, this is a politician speaking. Because just on that note, when I read it, it was a lot on like, how you say, taking a more, okay, we better do this because in the past this happened, in other countries this happened, so we cannot let that happen. But I mean, I think, from the conversations with Sudhir recently and the stuff that we have discussed, we've read, there's also some value in pushing towards more of an ideal as opposed to hoping that the worst that happened to us doesn't happen again. And some of the things he was saying that, I guess, like if I were to pick out the parts that made me feel like, does it have to be that way, was instances like that. And
what specifically?
Yeah, let me find some.
Yeah. A lot of people said that
stuff.
A lot of people are very pleased during the studio podcast that when you said that PA was fucking stupid in their response to Sarah Barbary.
Yeah, I know. Okay, stop tooting your own horn.
A lot of people came forward and said they're very glad that I asked you to quantify it. So here I am.
When you say a lot of people, there was one Reddit comment.
Two.
Got two.
One. Two.
Is it got two?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Two is not a lot of people. Okay, two is not a lot of people. And let's see.
Yeah. All right, everyone, get ready your Reddit accounts.
Yeah.
Get ready your Reddit account too.
No. I was gonna point out some stuff. Fuck lah. I have the transcript in front of me. But okay, while I search for it, I mean the one thing that he did talk about that was brought up by Pritam was that the GRC system, he anchored it in the need for for minority representation and I think that was something that Pritam challenged that.
Yes.
Okay, is it really all about racial representation or minority representation, or is there more of a political strategy behind it right?
Yeah.
So I think that was one of 2 points that Pritam brought up. The other one was Pritam's point about the ethnic integration policy which was about the lowering the price of flats as being seen as a benefit for minorities, which is not really the truth so I think those were the things that Pritam brought out that I thought, okay, there was something there to talk about. But I mean, it was just those few things that stuck out, and I am still going to try and find that example. So, but what were your thoughts about Pritam's points?
I mean, Pritam Singh is also a politician, right? So, he has to make and as the opposition leader, he has to make a response. And I thought his response also was also giving the Lawrence Wong and his speech its due, right? Saying that this, he was also quite he thought that the speech was important and everyone should take a listen to it and all. But he just wanted to contest certain points about that, like, the gerrymandering in terms of changing single member constituencies and group representation constituencies and all that, lah. So he has a point, definitely. But I think Lawrence Wong, again, like similar to what we said about the Shanmugam thing, was I think what he tried to do was try to answer it from a philosophical perspective, lah, right? Like what the GRC on paper is meant to do. But I think Pritam is pointing out that when you look at the nitty-gritties, there's a lot of question marks, lah, right? So I'll say both are not both are correct, lah, in the sense that they are both pointing out different parts of the same problem, lah, right? Or the same issue, lah. So it's not. I mean, and both of them are politicians, lah, right? That's kind of what they had to do. I mean, Lawrence Wong was trying to address a general issue of racism, and Pritam was trying to be more pointed in pointing out the flaws, lah, and holding them accountable to say, hey, you all say that this program is good, then why is this still happening? And I think it's important that Pritam does that because there are issues with the gerrymandering that we need to address, lah, before the next election, I hope. Have you found the article? I heard a screenshot being taken somewhere.
I mean, one of the things that I found was when he was talking about the ethnic balance, lah. So he did say that some say we should go beyond CMIO, but how would Singaporeans feel if the proportions of CMI and O were to shift dramatically, lah? So that's just one of the few examples where I thought, okay, that question, I don't know, when I read that, I'm like, okay, I don't know how Singaporeans would feel, but that also implies that the CMIO proportion is the proportion that, okay, has allowed us to evolve and progress as a country, but is it really the optimal breakdown? And I think when asking that sort of questions, it's kind of like assuming that there will be a lot of tension if it were to change, lah. And that was one of the examples I felt, okay, is that you don't go too much into those details. You didn't talk about the data and all that, because the speech, if you go into details in everything and all the points, it'll be a fucking like 6-hour long speech, lah. But it was instances like that where I felt like, okay, that just feels like the sentiment that, okay, this has been working, we have this utopian place that we cannot afford to compromise because what would happen if something else was the case.
And I guess that's where he also brought up the he very boldly, or at least just outright just said, we are not France, right? Where we force a one master language, one master culture on everybody. And pretend that race and different cultures don't really exist within France. Which, I mean, maybe my experience also, having spent some time studying and all that in France and seeing firsthand like riots and how certain things were, just how things haven't gotten better over the years, in spite of the very noble declarations of secularity within, secular state and everything, lah. It raises a good counterpoint to all that, no? And maybe that's why also it's worth checking out his Q&A, because he did address the CMIO thing again during the Q&A, lah. I felt it was you could tell that this was more of an honest answer rather than a prepared speech kind of answer, lah.
Or maybe he's that good a politician, like he's a machine,
Yeah.
He's a fucking machine.
And remember, even when we were discussing in the studio, we also didn't come to a necessary conclusion on what is much better than CMIO, lah, right? I think exactly. you suggested having more brackets. He's leaning more towards like just cancelling all CMIO entirely, So it's I think it's a debate worth having, lah.
Yeah, but I mean, even as I say these things, and I mean, there were other examples, but like it was just more instances of that. I still will say that I think for a politician of such high stature as Lawrence Wong, because in the PAP, like, he's been front and center of a lot of the public communications. I think it is a really good first step for them to give a speech like this. Like, I mean, he also used the term Chinese privilege, which I don't think, based on what I read online, has been ever uttered by a politician. Right? It's always some other thing. That's anecdotal. I don't know whether it's true or not. But also, he did have this one line where he talked about how we need to acknowledge that being a minority is always going to be harder, lah. Which essentially is recognition that, okay, minorities kind of like, and he did say, and I quote, first we must recognize that in any multiracial society, it is harder to be a minority than a majority. This is so everywhere in the world. And even a statement like that, right, I think it carries a lot of weight, lah, for someone in that position of power to acknowledge that. I thought, hey, fuck, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that before. Correct. Anyone in White West say that before.
Yeah.
But then I also wanted to ask you one line that he did mention and what your thoughts are. You know, when he implored that you and your fellow majority population members do more and take the extra step to make your minority friends, neighbors, co-workers feel more comfortable.
Yeah. So it's like,
and I mean,
are you sitting down?
For full disclosure, last week or the week before, out of nowhere, like, Terence and I have a WhatsApp group with one of our ex-producers who's a Eurasian guy, so he falls in the O category. And Terence took a screenshot. Took a screenshot of something, I think by Wake Up Singapore, with a hashtag Call It Out SG, where the instruction or advice was to send a message to your minority friends and let them know you are there for them. So Terence literally sent me a message and said, just wanting to let you know, guys, I'm here for you. Hashtag Call It Out SG.
Correct, yeah.
So when I read this line by Lawrence Wong, I was like, fuck lah, Terence is going to say some stupid shit next day and think he's checked the quota of, as a majority, making a minority friend feel comfortable lah.
Do you remember before we started recording, I asked you how your weekend was, you know?
So that was your step.
I just wanted to make sure you were comfortable, you know, like you had a good sleep, took the vaccine, you know, you got 3 meals a day, doing well, you know.
Yeah, when I talked to you about you watching the Euro match, when you asked me, but how, wouldn't you be tired? So that was your attempt at making me feel comfortable.
Exactly.
Wow, what a great majority friend you are. La.
I have stepped out.
Where would I be without you, man?
I am way out my comfort zone.
Without you? Instead of going straight into the podcast, you spent 10 seconds asking me how my weekend was.
Yeah.
Where the fuck would I be in life without you, man? Holy shit.
Oh man.
No, so when you read a line like that, what do you feel?
I mean, in general, I feel like okay, there was certain, I mean, as much as you think I'm probably singing praises about Lawrence Wong. Of course, I do feel certain things. It can still be bolder, right? In terms of saying, like, you say you want racial harmony, all these kind of things, and even the Q&A, he brought something that I don't think he mentioned in the speech, which was that he thinks that for most people, if you look at your closest circle of friends, more likely than not, you don't have a minority friend in it, you know. And I think for a good part of my life, that was the case, But I mean, I'm glad to say, you know, Harish is now on he's the minority friend in the closest circle of friends I have, and everything. So. But the important thing is that that not everyone will have that, you know. So, and that affects how people view other cultures or other ethnicities, because they don't have that many interactions with them, I went to one of those SAP schools, SEP schools, primary schools, and I think I had maybe one minority friend in the school, and he wasn't even he was half Chinese, half Indian, you know. So until I was until I was 12 or something, I didn't really have that many opportunities to meet minority friends, And
so what was it that Lawrence Wong said during the Q&A? What did he say?
No, I think they just asked him what is the if I'm not wrong, they were asking basically, you have these lofty ideals of racial harmony on it, but what are some practical steps that Singaporeans can do lah?
Can be thick.
And one of the things he says is just have a network of and have a network of friends, have friends from different races also lah, and it is something that takes effort lah. And then I mean, we laugh about it and all these things, but you go to last time in university in the US. Now I look back very fondly at those university years, but it was true that there was a lot of you meet a lot of people who also have no minority friends at all, even in a very diverse
in uni.
Yeah, in university campus and all that, right? Do you meet like I mean a lot of white people who only hung out with like they're very waspy, the so-called waspy, right?
Yeah, got. I mean, I know my first year housemate, when I told him, my roommate, when I told him, yo, can we like take off our shoes before we enter the room? I was like, dude, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And I told him, dude, there are like fucking 2.5 billion people that generally do that. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Exactly. So and then the only sports they know are like American football and ice hockey and
baseball. Baseball.
And then like even like more international sport. So they don't even watch like international sports like tennis or to some extent even basketball. Basketball is probably the most international American sport there is really lah, right?
But the thing about the US and Singapore, quite different one in the sense that in the US you can literally grow up in a white town. I mean, thankfully Singapore there's no town where it's just like you don't get like Chinatown is not just Chinese people and Little India is not just Indian people, right?
Yeah.
So
correct.
so it still boggles my mind that in Singapore people can grow up without friends of a different race lah. But I guess as a minority you have no choice. So I don't know how it is now. I mean I'm assuming we grew up in primary school like what 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Fuck 30. Oh my god, we were in primary 1 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit. But yeah, we grew up at that point in time. I don't know how it is now. Do more people have more friends diverse friends at an earlier age? I hope so. Now you also have to think about the LGBTQ friends as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Because in some way, everything we are saying about race, like I never grew up with a friend who was LGBTQ. Right? And
you didn't know that he or she
I didn't
was
know
lah.
lah.
You didn't know.
So yeah, so as much as you are saying you never up till 12 you never had a minority friend or something, and it blows my fucking mind. Maybe a younger person listening to me might be thinking, what, you grew up not having a friend who was part of the LGBT community? Are you fucking kidding me? But it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. And you were in a hyper masculine circle of friends, right?
Not hyper masculine lah. In secondary school, I went to a boys' school. Whether I liked it or not, I was in a masculine group because they were all dudes lah, right?
Yeah.
We would.
But it was you had to show how like you're them like boys.
In JC,
boys and men.
In JC it was a bit of a jockey.
Correct.
The sports group. But why you always like to bring that up? Anytime got chance, you will just insert that.
Because there's a variety of experiences that people have in different secondary school settings. So I just want to point out that even though we were the same school, we might have very different experiences of what it meant to be in an elite school and everything, you see.
Yeah.
Like you were
might not even have been
even not just sports, but even like the studies side of things, or what. Even within an elite school, there are people who are in the class that that they're all going to be scholars. Then there are people who are in the class that they got in because mostly of them, a lot of them played very good, played sports very well or something like that, or had connections and things like that, right? So I just don't want to blanket say that everyone in elite school behaves like how you did or how I did or anything like that, Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course lah.
Balance. It's like that's a very Lawrence Wong kind of answer,
Balance. Yeah. But I guess to anyone listening, I think it would be good if you can at least watch the highlights of a bit of the talk just to get a feel of the way he communicated, because you really have to give him some credit for tackling a topic in a way that was
tackling.
I said tuckling.
You said tackling. I was like,
oh, the two words. I was going to say talking and tackling.
Tackling a topic. I was like, wow, is this a new omelette thing?
Yo,
tackling. You're going to insist on tackle. You watch too much football, is it?
No, see, if you write a Facebook post about race, in some way you're tackling the topic, but you're writing it. But if you talk about it, you're tackling it. Lawrence Wong tackled the shit out of racism.
Wow, we got a new word.
Tackled it.
Yeah. Wow. Real tackle.
Go watch. Yeah.
Real tackle. Yeah. Wow.
Go watch clips of Lawrence Wong tackle through racism. The Q&A, the video, because it's at least a refreshing change compared to how we have heard race being talked in the broader spectrum of things And now I hope it rubs down to mainstream media to give them the balls of to talk about stuff like this that matters. And when I say mainstream media, I don't mean all mainstream media, because to say like CNA's credit, I think even today sometimes they do put out nice commentaries about race and all that. I don't know about Straits Times. I always have hopes for Straits Times, but not there yet. Not there yet.
I mean, in the same weekend, I think Lian He Zaopao at the same forum or something. I think the editor Lian He Zaopao doubled down on the article that they wrote. You know, the one that the academics signed.
The critical race theory.
Yeah, he basically doubled down saying that, I mean, they strive to show opinions that are also different and things like that But to me, it was just basically he was just covering his backside essentially.
You want to show opinions that are different, then for every article like that, you have to at least share a fucking article that is the other opposite end So you want to be balanced, right?
Yeah.
Basket.
Or give a primer that shows both sides of what critical race theory is right? But
exactly.
So,
but I'm just waiting for you. Yeah, I'm just waiting for you to segue into the second topic that I'm quite excited to talk about.
Yeah, I know. Because, I mean, we've all just been jizzing over Lawrence Wong's speech, right? And how he might be our next Prime Minister. I mean, what better topic is there to talk about next than to talk about jizzing?
Yeah, jizzing. Walao. I mean, when you share
this is going to be like the first time this word has been used on our podcast. The Japanese version. The Japanese version. But I will let you have the credit because you suggested it.
No, this one. I mean, okay. So the title of the article on Mothership was "Man 28 assisting in police investigations after women in Singapore approach for a bukkake photoshoot." Okay, so if you have heard of the term bukkake, then this might not be that much of a surprise to you. But for those of you listening who might not be familiar with what bukkake is, it is the act of multiple men ejaculating on another person normally a female right?
And on the face.
And on the face. Oh, is it specifically on the face?
I think. I guess. Yeah. From what I've read it's mainly the face.
From what you've read.
From what I've read,
it's on the face. Yeah.
From what I've read.
So I mean, it's almost like a category of porn that I believe got made popular in Japan. And basically there was two women in Singapore who came forward on social media sharing their experience of being solicited for an obscene photo shoot. So there was this guy who goes by the name of Derek, who either approached them on Instagram DM or email, and what he would basically say was, okay, I'm an SG-based photographer seeking a model for a concept photo shoot. Came across your IG page and thought I'd reach out. The concept for the shoot is bukkake. Just one word, bukkake.
Yeah.
It could be like, I don't know, bukkake ice cream or something. Like maybe it's not bukkake with like ejaculate, it's bukkake with something else.
Yeah.
But, and he was going to pay a rate of 3,000 per hour. So it was going to be a 3-hour shoot. So the total pay will be 9,000. And then he goes on to say there's a signed NDA, you'll be dressed for this shoot, and the photos are for his personal collection only.
Yep.
There'll be an NDA also to ensure confidentiality, and if the person's open to collabing, he will explain the concept in detail. So at first I thought maybe he's not talking about sexual bukkake, But then they did also share screenshots of other messages that talked about in detail about, okay, there will be it will involve 60 men, groups of 6 men, and apparently he had done 2 previous bukkake shoots, and he's able to share selection of photos if they were open to it, and they shared it on social media lah.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
right now there are investigations because one of them went to the police, and apparently there was no evidence. They found the man, and apparently there's no evidence that he carried out such a photo shoot previously lah. So I think right now the investigations are still ongoing, but what were your thoughts when you saw this? Were you surprised or not that someone would solicit women for this sort of photo shoot?
No, I mean, I shared it in our Facebook group and everything lah, because I kind of wanted to see what the end game is for this guy. Like, what was he hoping to do by the end of it lah? And so I was just reading up a bit about what people speculating, what he might be trying to do and all that lah.
And what did you come across?
I mean, I think the general thought is that with such huge monetary offers, right, for someone, and then he claims that they're still going to be clothed and everything, more likely than not, he's going to pressure them into, into taking nude photos or something. And then after that, with those nude photos, he's definitely not going to pay them the full amount. I don't think anybody would pay $20,000 for that lah. And then after that, he would like sort of just blackmail and then use it not to not have to pay the people that amount of money lah. So it's because you can imagine, like, let's say there's someone who really is in need of money for whatever reason, medical reasons or something, and if you are offered $20,000 to do something that supposedly, at the end of the day, you are clothed and it's other people who are naked around you and all that, right? I guess you probably would, there'll be a lot of pressure to make sure that you get the job lah, right? And then based on that, then so if he has any kind of request that maybe don't matter that much to you and all that, okay lah, fine. Just quickly do it. Then after that, get paid lah. Then after that, he'll hold the payment from you, and then he'll say, yeah, your life will be ruined if I release these photos to the public and all. So that's what I thought would probably happen lah. Yeah, he probably would like book a hotel room, and then it'll just be he himself in a room. And he'll probably come out with we need to practice the shot and that kind of shit, kind of excuses lah, and then start taking photos lah. That is my guess. If I were to get into the mind of this 28-year-old dude and what his end game was lah. What do you think?
I mean, at first I was thinking like, okay, like if he plots out the scope of the project in exact detail, and if he has like legitimate NDA documents that they will sign and all that, at first I was thinking, what's wrong with that? I mean, isn't it like any other project where you have a scope of work, you are very transparent? Of course, even like when people approach me as an actor or a host, there's always the risk of them being shady about something lah. Like whatever you mentioned about the nude photos, they could tell me you're going to be talking about this hotel room, to do the tour and all. They lock me in and they ask me to strip naked. The same thing could happen lah, right? So at first I was thinking, okay, like what is the problem here? Like he's not forcing them with gunpoint or something. But then I realized that, okay, the creation of pornographic content in Singapore is illegal.
Yeah, correct. It is.
Yeah, there is the Films Act, the Undesirable Publications Act, and the Penal Code that all have provisions that make it illegal to make, keep, distribute, or sell pornographic material.
Yeah.
So I think once you look at it through that lens, okay lah, this is definitely illegal lah. But I assume if someone did this in the US or Japan, it will be fine lah.
I mean, there are, like in the US, I guess every state has their own provisions. Like the person can't be below a certain age.
Oh yeah.
And you cannot solicit across state lines and stuff like that, lah. So yeah, I mean, the guy could say that it was even for his private collection, but even then it would still be illegal, lah. Regardless.
Yeah. In Singapore, or in the states in the US where they don't allow the the production of porn lah. Because
Yeah.
I think all the pornographic companies are located in a few states only because not every state is open to it lah.
Yeah, correct. But doesn't this remind you of like I don't know I don't know if you've seen it before, but you've seen like these a lot of amateur photo shoots where like there's like 5 guys crowding around one girl
at
usually.
Sentosa or something.
Yeah, in a bikini.
Pre-COVID lah, pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID lah,
Yeah,
in the
pre-COVID.
beach, usually on a weekday, and the guy has like huge lens.
Weird. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and usually in his mid to late 30s or something like that, and like the 5 guys like all snapping away at this one talent, so to speak, who probably looks too young to be really like doing it, but okay lah. I mean, maybe they just do it for the money or what. But yeah, it just reminds me a bit of that lah, where the act of photography is also like it makes you feel a bit shady lah, the whole exchange. I mean, nothing wrong shooting models or having a bikini photo shoot or things like that lah. But from what I understand, there's a very big community of so-called photographers who are really doing it in Singapore just to just to see girls in dressed in bikinis or even less than bikinis or things like that.
Yeah.
And then this one, I guess this guy's shooting for the moon lah. He's going for the full on bukkake concept lah.
No, that's why I wish that one of them actually like just without the intention of actually going through with it, just took up the offer and see how far along the rabbit hole this goes lah. Because it just, I mean, yeah, like I hope the investigation actually, the results of the investigation is made public, because I'm so curious, like, who is this guy? What was his end game like what you said?
Correct.
Right, because it's just so fucking like hilarious. And if it's happened once, I assume that it's happened more often lah. And it's just I just thought this is probably one of the goofiest topics we've ever spoken about, because it just blew my mind that the context of it lah. I just found it fucking hilarious lah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe this guy like he travels a lot to Japan and does these kind of photo shoots in Japan. But because he hasn't been able to travel for a year and a half now from Singapore, right? So maybe he's like, okay lah, the money that I would have spent going to Japan and hiring a model there, I'll use that to pay for a model in Singapore and see how far I can go lah. That's why the money is like ratcheting up to like $17,000, $18,000, $22,000. Wow.
Yeah, he started off with 9,000. Oh yeah, and his final offer was 22,000.
Yeah, 22,500 for a 26-year-old man. Or 28-year-old man, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, so yeah, it was just, I mean, it just, yeah, there's nothing much else to say to this. And I mean, I think one of the girls who came forward, she was actually laughing in her video that she posted on Instagram talking about it lah.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that she wasn't traumatized or anything. I hope the other girl also isn't traumatized. But holy shit, it was hilarious.
Yeah, they also said, I think someone also made a calculation that if you took the 22,500 and divided it by amongst the 60 men that would come and do it, they'll still be paying $375 each. So that's a lot of money to pay for, versus just visiting a red light district or what,
But I think red light district also got certain rules. I don't think you can just go in and, yo, can I come on your face? And the thing is, you do it in the presence of other men.
I don't know, but then you pay more for that. Does that make sense that you're paying more for that lack of privacy?
No, that's why I think it's the inverse of a personal trainer. Like when you're exercising, you go for group class is $80.
Yeah.
You get personal trainer is $120.
Correct.
For bukkake, right? You go for one-on-one is $80. You want group class is $150.
Oh, it's more exciting when you do it as a group lah.
Yeah, that's why.
What other activities are like that where you have to pay more as a group versus pay
what
less?
other activities Yeah, I guess they tend to be sexual in nature lah, I would imagine.
And you must fulfill some kind of fetish that you have for being standing next to another guy and jerking off or what lah.
That's why.
Oh, I know. It kind of reminds me of the whole peeing thing at Ngee Poly that time, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
Actually, that was... I mean, that's not really, that one wasn't really
That's like a
bukkake, but
precursor.
that was peeing on the person, lah, right? And everyone taking turns to do so. Oh my God. Oh.
So there's like a different kind. I mean, in the same way, philosophically, it's the same. It's a bodily fluid of multiple individuals flowing onto one or two individuals. Holy shit! That was like a precursor. Oh my God! It's almost like yeah, it's just different two sides of the same coin.
And they both came up this year, right? It really tells you maybe we've been cooped up for too long already, lah. Really, this
Yeah,
COVID
that's
thing.
why. I mean, like even Lawrence Wong said something about how there's more racial instances likely because of COVID, and part of me was like, "Hey, don't just blame it on COVID." But then when you see this, actually, it's true. Maybe he couldn't go to Japan. He's like, you know what? I need to make some local bukkake. Let's get the photo shoot going, and then like, my God. So this just means that I think the restrictions are still going to be here for the next few weeks. I think I read that the dining options is going to open up only in mid-July. So be prepared for more shit, man.
Yeah. It's quite. I mean, quite. Let's see where this goes, lah. I mean, the guy seems to be very, very earnest. I mean, not very earnest, very persistent about it, and has sent the email to a lot of people or message to a lot of people. So I guess he must have had really wanted to be able to do something, lah. You know. Yeah. Strange.
So yeah, it was just funny, like it was just funny. And I'm guessing there's going to be more shit happening, and you can be sure that we will cover this shit, lah.
We
will cover this shit. Yeah,
we will be all over it.
Yeah, all over it.
Yeah, right.
We will be all over it.
Yes.
Just like what a fitting way to describe the end of a discussion on bukkake.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I hope for those of you listening with your kids present, I hope you took the necessary steps to. Actually, no, we didn't say anything that explicit, lah. If they ask you about bukkake, please do not hold us responsible. Yeah, but yes, I think there's enough that we have spoken about that topic. Let's move on to the third segment, which is our One Shiok Comment of the week. What is yours, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think just the One Shiok Comment of the week, I think, was on Reddit. I think my previous One Shiok thing of talking about Black Summer has seems like it's inspired some people to also binge watch season 1 of Black Summer, and they're just discussing whether they should watch season 2 lah. So it's I'm very glad lah that people are actually discovering certain interesting things through us as well, and this is a very real example to me that, you know, there's a community out there who listens to our shit lah. So this comment was by SVLYS Civil. I don't know what. So yeah, but they already binged season 1. So and just wondering whether to watch season 2. But yeah, that was my One Shiok comment. How about you? What is your One Shiok comment?
My One Shiok comment was a comment on episode 171. So it was a few days ago. It was by AWP_MAP89. And he or she pointed out that at the 54-minute mark, I use such an old school expletive, chibe. Is that old school? Does nobody say it now? Chibe?
Probably not lah. I haven't heard anyone say it for damn long.
Actually, do you even say chibe? No,
I don't. Yeah.
What, chibe? I mean, I prefer saying that so much more than chibai.
Yeah.
Just chibe just rolls off the tongue a lot easier lah.
But it might actually be someone's name or something like that lah. You know.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Actually on like with a quick search on Facebook, which is up on one of my many tabs.
Yeah.
Let me Google chibe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I won't say the full name, but they don't have chibe lah. They have something chi ho be or something like that.
Correct.
But I just thought that was a funny comment and a funny reminder that we are old lah.
Yeah. Because there are probably a lot of other expletives that we used to, or insults we used to use that probably shouldn't be using these days lah.
Why not, man? Why not? Chibe is a great.
The lines have moved.
It just rolls off the
The
tongue.
lines have shifted and moved on.
Okay, then suggest something similar. Why? Actually, what does chibe or chibai mean? Is just vagina, lah, right? It's not your mother's vagina, right? That's something else, right?
Yeah, it's something else. It's just a combination of a couple of different Hokkien insults. Yeah.
I guess, I mean, is it the equivalent of the C word in English?
Yeah, I would say yeah. You
I guess it is,
it's enough for that. And it's a shortened version of it, you know. Yeah.
So it's not PC, lah. It's not kosher anymore, lah.
I mean, if you're really angry and you use it, I don't think people hold it against you, lah. They probably avoid you, but probably shouldn't use it as much in daily conversation. Yeah.
Shit. I don't know, lah. I'll think about that, lah. I'll think about that.
Yeah.
But okay, moving on to the One Shiok thing of the past few days.
Yes. What is your One Shiok thing?
My One Shiok thing is I just started watching the documentary about Steven Gerrard called Make Us Dream. It is on Amazon. It came out 2018, but I've realized documentaries are shows that I can split up and watch not just in one sitting, which is good, because previously my default would be, if I just want to veg out, I'll just go to YouTube and I'll just have to find some shit to watch, and sometimes it's some brainless shit.
Yeah.
But with documentaries, I actually really like watching something and then just stop and then carry on, watch for 5-10 minutes. And I think that's going to be my new thing. And I figured, okay, let me just start with a documentary, given the current climate of Euro and all that. I started watching the documentary, and yeah, I mean, it's definitely not like the last dance or something, but it just made me remember, like, so I am generally a Man U fan.
Okay.
And I say generally because I used to be a lot more hardcore. Now I'm not.
Basically, when they were winning, right? When they were winning, you supported
not
them
really,
most.
not really. But I always used to have a bone to pick with Liverpool, because naturally, But Steven Gerrard is one of those players that it's hard to dislike him.
Yeah.
And the documentary just goes through his evolution as a player and how he was tempted by other clubs, but he stuck with Liverpool, and yeah, he led them to like their first European Championship in God knows how fucking long, like in the early 2000s, where they came down from 3-0 at halftime against AC Milan to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's just a nice documentary, lah. I'm really enjoying it.
I think a lot of these sports documentaries are I think it's cool that they are being done of a lot of sporting icons from when we were younger, because I don't think your dad's generation or my parents' generation had that kind of repositories of archival footage or interviews with all these stars, right?
Exactly.
So it's very nice for us, like we grew up through Michael Jordan's era, and then remember last year during the last dance and everything, every week like everyone was looking forward to the next episode.
It was fucking great, man.
It was
it was great.
It brought back like weekly episodic television and the joys of it also, right?
Yeah. It was so good. So yeah, it's a cool documentary if you have Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay, what is your One Shiok thing?
My One Shiok thing, speaking of turning back the time and all, is actually to point out that John Mayer has a new song and a new album coming out, I think. This new song is called Last Train Home. And the amazing thing about John Mayer, he burst on the scene as a pop singer-songwriter, but after that he, with subsequent albums, almost every album he would try something a little bit different, whether it's blues or more rock or more soul and things like that. So even country, he's even done country as well. So his most recent, now his sound is about going back to the 80s, like in the same vein as The Weeknd and some other pop stars also, like finding inspiration in 80s. Yeah, so Last Train Home has the really 80s vibes when you listen to it. And then even the music video and all the marketing that goes with it also has a very 80s vibe to it. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And then it's not the
Is there a music video yet? Not yet.
Yeah, there is a music video already. It's not the chart banger that you would hope for, like his early tunes or anything, but it's for all John Mayer fans. It's a pretty awesome welcome back lah for John Mayer. Yeah.
I remember recently one thing cool he did was he went on a tour with Dave Chappelle. So like I don't know what they did, some music comedy thing on stage, and like I guess that's one thing nice about John Mayer. He just does random shit lah.
Yeah, and he's quite a funny guy also lah. Quite a funny guy.
Yeah,
it comes across in his lyrics, but I know he even tried stand-up comedy. Things like that as well. And all his concerts, he always tries to like say something funny in between his songs. Some not, some are quite funny, some not so funny. And like his Singapore concert a couple of years back was like, I think one of the best concerts I've ever been to in Singapore.
Oh really?
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. Man.
Cool guy. Cool guy. Maybe we'll get him on our podcast next episode.
Oh yeah, sure, man. I am sure he'll be super interested to talk about racism in Singapore.
Yeah. As my Malay cikgu said in primary school, if you aim for the tree, you fall on the ground. You aim for the stars, you fall on the tree.
Yeah, but actually that's it. We should try to get some of these like Singaporean music stars on our platform a little bit, right? I always feel like
why?
I always
what do you want to
open
talk
up
to them about?
No, I just open up my Spotify and then I see all these like, oh shit, there's a lot of people creating music in Singapore, and it's good shit lah. It's just that maybe it's just nowadays it's hard to get discovered out of the a lot of noise there is on Spotify and all. And if there's some way to also help out the local community, but it's got to be stuff that we like lah,
cool,
right? It's got to be stuff that we like.
It'll be cool then if they're willing to like play a bit of their song on our podcast, that'll be fucking cool. Because
in
like,
our fucking setup, our fucking tent setup, that'll be crazy, man. Oh.
Because like the last episode with Faz, if you haven't listened already, shame on you. But if you haven't listened, he did also talk about his upcoming comedy special, which was great lah. And it would be cool if like we have the ability to kind of like be like the Conan O'Brien of Singapore lah, get some guests on when they want to talk about shit, interesting guests.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe.
Yeah. No harm.
Like Jasmine Soko. Jasmine Soko just recently appeared on the billboard in New York City, man.
Fucking Jasmine Soko is amazing, man. Love to hear.
What the fuck? That's so cool, man.
Would love to know more about her creative process, like if anything.
Yeah. That is so cool.
Insane. Yeah.
But yeah. That brings us to the end of the podcast.
Yeah. Let us know what you think. If Lawrence Wong can be Prime Minister.
Yeah. Indeed, man. Indeed.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for listening and talk to y'all soon.